Let's talk about the most important part of what to do after setting up your FileMaker server, and that's troubleshooting. Eventually, probably all of us are going to have to troubleshoot a server to see if it's working. You might have to troubleshoot it during installation just to get it working. So learning how to troubleshoot and learning what steps to take to troubleshoot is very important. So I like to take what's called a top-down approach to troubleshooting, and that's really starting at the top over by, say, the admin console and working my way down through the root of the system until I get over to the left-hand side the of where the user is actually connecting. So starting at the base of the server and working my way down until I get to the user. And there's some documents or you know graphics out there that kind of explain how that works. So in this case, this Office FileMaker server is the top, and all of these other pieces are going down that. Here it's the database servers, the top, and it's working our way down. So what that looks like in practice is, well, first off, is my machine running? So back here in my Amazon EC2 control panel, does my instance state say it's running? I've been turning this off when I've been shooting videos, so one time I tried to connect to this and realized my server was just shut off. So this is the first place to start because it's where the actual service itself is running. Then see if you can connect to that server. If you can't connect to that server, there might be something wrong with the server itself. When you're dealing with FileMaker, you want to be able to look at services. So I would go to search for services, take a look here, check to see if the FileMaker server service is running. Sometimes there's errors where it can't start. If it can't start, so if you get to this point and you say the FileMaker service is stopped, and you come over here and you hit start and it won't start, it gives you an error, then you'll want to use a utility on the server called the event viewer. And we can just search for event and you'll see event viewer. And what this is it's not FileMaker specific. These are the Windows application logs. So this is going to give you a closer look as to see what happened. So you can see all of these Windows logs, the application log, and if your FileMaker server service fails to start, you're usually going to find something in here like there was an SSL error, like maybe your SSL file got changed somehow and now the web server can't boot up. So if you come in here and check out that event, it'll give you a message in here, and then you can try to diagnose that appropriately. And make sure that as you're troubleshooting, you're writing down the steps that you took, and just jot it down in a text editor so that if you do need to ask for help in the community or ask for help from FileMaker or ask for help from another person, you have that record of everything you've already checked. So just say like verified the FileMaker service was running, verified I can connect to the server, that type of thing. So once you've worked this out and you found out the service is running, the next step is going to look at the admin console. So I'm just here, I see that my database server is running, but can I connect to my admin console? And we can see here that this does pull up, so I should be able to connect, and I can. So now come in here, see if you can find anything in here that might be off, like is your disk space used up? That's a common error where people, their backups aren't running because their backup drive is full, or they're not able to save records because their C drive is full because somebody uploaded a bunch of container contents, that type of thing. So just come in here, look around at the admin console, see what it gives you. Look at the databases. Is the database just closed? Can you open the database? If you can't open the database, does it give you an error? That type of thing. do you see that a user is stranded here in the, you see their user sessions here? Can you disconnect them and have them retry to connect later on? Or are you just in here and nobody's able to connect? Is there something here in the notifications that gives you maybe something has gone wrong? If you're not able to connect to the server, it might be a networking issue. So once you've worked it out and gotten to this point where you know that your server is working, and one last step I usually take, but I can't do because I don't have FileMaker Pro installed here, is that usually I'll install FileMaker Pro on my server as well, so that I can validate that I'm able to connect to those files locally on the server, and that points to it being a network issue of somebody from the outside your network can't connect. One thing I can point out for sure, if you're using just on the regular instances in Amazon's cloud, if you stop a server, so if you come in here and stop it and then start it again, this IP address that's down here and this DNS address can change. And it changes when you restart it. It allocates you a new cloud session, so to speak, with that IP address. So maybe you stopped and restarted the instance itself rather than coming in and restarting the server through Windows, and you ended up with a new IP address. So everybody's connecting to the wrong IP address now. So validate that that's all right. So basically at this point of time, you've worked out that it's not the server itself. And maybe validate just that WebDirect is active here. So here's WebDirect. WebDirect is active. So the server's done. So now let's continue working our way down the chain. So what am I going to do on my client side to validate that I'm able to access that remote server? Well, some of these graphics can help you troubleshoot through that as well. So the next thing to check would be down the tree would be the network connectivity. So is there something that's preventing that user from connecting to your server? Are they using, which one of these three connection methods are they using? Are they connecting on port 5003? So you would troubleshoot to see if port 5003 is open between the server. You can do things like trace route in the command line utility for that. And for that I would open up terminal. I actually have a terminal utility called iTerm here. And from here I can run a command called trace route. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy my DNS address here and I'm going to paste it there. And this is going to tell me, can I actually connect to that server? So you can see here it's tracing the entire route down to where I get that server. And if it fails anywhere along this step, it'll give you a failure message. But for me, it's looking okay. But you can also check this out from the server side as well. So if I go back to the server, launch the browser here, I can go to a website called canyouseeme.org. And canyouseeme.org, see my IP addresses in here, 54.164.32.141. I can validate that with 141. I can validate that with my admin console to make sure that's correct. And I can actually put a port in here, a custom port. So I can use 80, I can use 5003. Let's use 5003. And here you go. What this does is it uses an outside server to kind of test that connection to your server to see if it works. So this gives me success. it can see my device on port 5003. So I can also check for like 443, but if I type in a port that we don't have open, you're going to get an error message here because it can't see me. So it tries a couple times and then gives you that error. So a simple tool like this is a really quick way to check to see if your user should be able to connect. So once you get to this point where you verified that your server is up and running, FileMaker server is up and running, you can connect to things locally on the server itself, and you've checked to make sure that the network seems okay, then really you're getting down to checking troubleshooting on the user side of things. So this is the end of some of the server troubleshooting that you're going to be doing. So on the user side, what you're going to want to check is the regular stuff you would want to check. Do they have a compatible version of FileMaker? Can FileMaker open? Do they need to install an update for it to work with their operating system? That type of thing. So, you know, can you try that from another computer or another network to see if it's an issue with the network they're connected to, or if it's an issue with their computer? Having those alternatives in mind will be good for the troubleshooting process. But if you start top down and start at the server level, you can kind of eliminate a lot of the unknown. And one thing I forgot to mention was that if you're on the server and you're having problems with a specific service, say like, you know, FileMaker server is working, but maybe WebDirect is not working. One of the things to check, and I went over this in my Java video earlier, is double check the control panel. So come in here to control panel, go to programs, go to uninstall a program. And we're not looking to uninstall something, but what you want to do is you want to sort by this installed on column. And you want to see, okay, I installed FileMaker server here on 7.8. This Java update was installed on 7.8. These other things were installed at the same time FileMaker server was installed. So those were installed the same time as FileMaker server was installed. Those are okay programs. Anything older than that is okay. But if you have a newer program that was installed, say antivirus, or something like a Java update that was installed later, those are the things that can interfere with FileMaker. So one of the things to do would be to search around online. Java is a known one, antivirus is a known one. There might be other conflicts. So if you have something like this, you can do a search around the community or ask in the community, does Amazon SSM agent conflict with FileMaker server? In this case, I know that that one does not. But you know, if you see something in here that's not familiar and it was installed after FileMaker was installed, that's a good suspect thing to kind of research a little bit. So that's really all you need to know to get started troubleshooting FileMaker server. Again, document your entire troubleshooting process, because if you get to the end of this and you haven't really figured out what's wrong, then it's going to be time to ask for help in the community. So feel free to hop onto community.filemaker.com and make a post there explaining your symptoms and what you've done to troubleshoot. And usually within a few hours you'll get a response on the community to help you troubleshoot. If it's a very urgent emergency, it might be a good idea to have a local contact for somebody that can give you a second opinion from like a FileMaker user group or a local FileMaker shop or somebody trusted in the FileMaker community as well. FileMaker also does offer tech support that you can pay for. And they are very knowledgeable people, and they can help very quickly get you back up and running. So that is the end of the troubleshooting section. Hopefully this has helped you out to get an idea of how to troubleshoot things for FileMaker server.